I'd like to welcome you all today for our final program in our special series related to our quarterly exhibit, I Do, which was hosted by Jenna Mitchelson. We are so grateful that she has given us 3 months of her time, and it has taken a lot of her time. The exhibit has been well received. Last month alone, we had over 2,000 hits specifically about her exhibit on Facebook in 1 month's time. So that's pretty amazing to know that people were that interested in us. So that was, I believe that was a record for us. So that's kind of interesting to know that. So today will be the final day of the exhibit. So if you haven't had time to look through it before you leave, take a moment to look because it will be coming down later today. So we're sad to see it go. And our next exhibit coming up will be hosted next month by David Wallace, who is here every month videotaping all of our events. And traditionally, our second quarterly exhibit relates to local coal camps. So this year it will be about West Mineral. So it's going to be a great exhibit. He has come across some wonderful items and he's got some great programs lined up. So we hope that you'll join us for those. So we'll just kick off today's program and we know you're going to enjoy it. So welcome to Jenna Mitchelson.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to this exhibit. I've really enjoyed being here the last 3 months, and I'm just so excited to wrap up the final chapter of this program, but also very sad to see it leave, like she said. Today, we are going to talk about bridal attire. So we've had a few programs leading up to now. We've talked about entertainment and traditions, hosting and hospitality, and all the things that come with those. But today, my personal favorite is bridal attire. I have a background working in a bridal store for 4 years before I started doing event planning. So this was super special to me to be able to incorporate a lot of these old gowns and the history that come with them. So if you look at the exhibit, there are some dresses all the way from 1913 to now. And then we do have a special dress up here today. That was Christy. She works here for, is it Christy? Yeah, Christy. Yeah, Christy that works here at the Miners Museum. So this is her dress from 1974. So this year will be her 50th wedding anniversary. And this is a beautiful dress that she had. And it has a neat headpiece. I'll go ahead and show that off real quick while I'm up here. But it has a really cool little headpiece that I would like to show that she wore with it. So I just wanted to kind of show that off and let you know what's back behind me while I'm speaking. And then we're going to go ahead and jump into the bridal attire. So in the early 1900s, dresses were often made by family members or purchased at a local store, like a clothing store. So things were a lot more simple. Some people didn't even wear a wedding dress. They just went to the courthouse and got married and what they were wearing in their normal everyday attire. So things have really changed over the years as far as the shopping process and the things that come with it. So as the times changed, back then, some local stores that people bought dresses were Seymour's and the jean scene. I don't know if anyone else had any other stores that they shopped at in the area, but if you do, I would love to hear them. Did anyone else get their dress somewhere in the area? Little's? Okay, Little's, okay. So they did get some at Little's. Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, and then as the times changed, so did the stores. So nowadays there is several stores that have popped up through the areas. One of them being Sarah Lori's Bridal and Formal, which is where I worked for 4 years and where our dresses will be being modeled from today. And we're gonna bring in Lorine. She is modeling for us. So I'm gonna put on a little music. This is our runway show. Okay, so this is Lorine, and she is in the Allure Romance dress. So you can see it's very simple. It does have a modern touch to the back. So this boning is kind of a modern touch that it has to it with the buttons all the way down the train. So just a nice chic dress with the buttons all the way down the train and the long cathedral veil with pearls in them. So pearls are a big trend that have kind of blossomed in 2023 and are continuing into 2024. And then we'll have you go ahead and do a little spin for me. Lorine. This is the beautiful Allure Romance, and she's gonna strut her stuff and kind of show everyone, show everyone the back. So here we go. Here we go. All right. Can anyone guess how much this 2023 collection is? Like how much these dresses run nowadays for a simple dress like that? Any guesses? It's true. So it's a little higher.
That dress there, $1,500.
Hey, that was on spot. Exact $1,449. So that's kind of that was pretty good.
I know nothing about it, but I know nothing.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, so the dresses have went up in cost. You can still find some that are lower costing than that one. That one's just one of our higher price designers, and with a designer name comes the designer price. So where you shop and what dresses you get will depend on sometimes literally the name. Like you could find that dress with a higher designer, something very similar to it, and it be $6,000, which is crazy. But so you can find them. Just you got to do your shopping and your research to kind of find what you want when you're shopping. Okay, so we kind of went over where you purchased your wedding dress. When you went shopping, can anyone tell me about their experience when they went shopping? Did you go with mom, or was it just one or two of you that went shopping? And where did you go when you did?
My mother and I went to Seymour's.
Seymour's, the two of you?
And you went down a few steps to where they have all of their wedding gowns, and that was 1966.
Wow. So it was downstairs, or just like a?
Yep, it was downstairs.
That's cool. Very cool. Well, speakeasy vibes, huh?
I
love
got my
it.
veil and my dress there.
Very cool. I love
And
that.
It is in the historic collection at Pittsburgh State University.
Okay. Wow, that's
the dress
neat.
and the veil.
The dress and the veil. So the historic collection at Pitt State University, she has her dress there. So if anyone wants to go take a peep, that's a great place to kind of look at some history with the dresses. So next we're going to talk about, she just went with mom. So over the years, it has changed, in the hype of going wedding dress shopping has kind of really just been elevated on where you should go shopping. I kind of think it came from the show I Said Yes to the Dress. I don't know if any of you have watched it. The hype of watching I Said Yes to the Dress, it kind of is like triggered people to bring their crew with them, mom, sister, bridal party, which has led to bigger groups. So Lex appointments. Sorry, I'm going to turn off the music. I missed that cue. But yeah, so Lex appointments and larger groups versus shopping with 1 to 2 people have become more of a thing. For those of you that don't know, a Lex appointment is something that you can do at a lot of bridal stores, so that you can just kind of have the area to yourself. So it's usually outside of store hours where you can kind of rent the space to do your shopping with big crews, because I know that some people want 10 people there and it's difficult. Or you can go, a lot of stores only have limitations that you can bring like 4 or 5 people max, just because of the space, and not everyone can bring a parade of people. So that is neat. And then as a former employee at Sarah Laurie's, I have seen it all, like the group sizes, the emotions, the moments leading up to the I Said Yes moments. And I will say that sometimes having a larger crew can be a little overwhelming. So just really knowing what you want as a bride and knowing what's more you is my tip that I give to my brides. I say, do what feels you and do what you feel beautiful in. So I kind of tell them that. And I personally went shopping with just my moms, my mother-in-law, my mom, because I was like, I didn't want too many opinions, because I'm a very indecisive person as it is with some things. So, and then we're going to have, so groom attire. Okay. So with groom's attire, you can rent tuxes, or you can purchase. That's kind of the common thing. So I've seen a little bit of both. There's several different rental companies that you can go through, and the cost is a little bit less than purchasing, but not too much more. Some people it just kind of depends what you want on the tux and which design you would like. When it comes to weddings, the first image that you really see with bridal is you think of the blushing bride walking down the aisle, and that's what you correlate weddings with. But we are going to talk a little bit about what the groom is wearing instead of what the bride is wearing, because I feel like that kind of gets missed sometimes. So so we're going to go all the way back to the 1700s. So that's really a long time ago, and I had to do a lot of research for this because I was not born in 1700. So had to do some research and some digging here. But the jazzy Georgians phase, so that was like an era of the jazz, And through that period, you would often find a groom wearing a combination of like luxurious furs, velvets, and it was just like, what all can you show off that is your luxury to show your wealth and status? So they would wear jackets with blinged out like emeralds and like all the bling on their jackets. So it was they were kind of a big focal point of the wedding actually in what they were wearing. So I found that very interesting there. As far as like average and middle class, people would just wear their everyday clothes and because they couldn't afford to wear the bling or the jewels or the that area. And that kind of originated overseas in like England, things like that but it's interesting in the bridal industry how much we in America base what they wear and royalty over there on like what we do, because they kind of set the trends even now today, like just like what Kate Middleton or Meghan Markle wore, like the simple dress she wore kind of started trending after that, as far as having the simple satin, nothing too blingy or crazy going on. So I find that very interesting there. And then it wasn't until 1840 when the Prince Albert effect happened. The jazzy era remained all the way up until then, when Queen Victoria and Prince Albert got married. And then that kind of was a big turning point for men's fashion there. He chose to wear his military uniform, which had a very different tapered the coat, and which they called the morning coat. The reason that it was called the morning coat was because that people got married in the mornings back then, so very self-explanatory. But morning coats were what they were called because of the way, I don't know, just that time of day they got married in, and it just made sense. The morning coat, we were getting married in the morning. So, but it wasn't just for royal fashion that the ceremony changed forever. The cut and the style were a crucial point, and then it kind of popularized like how they changed different little things, like made little tweaks, but they were still more simple. So like this part on your jacket is called the lapel. So they would change, and they make really wide ones, pointed tips. They would change the undershirt with ruffles, colors, like even in the 80s, like going forward, we saw lots of pastels or colors in there. I've even seen bell bottoms. Like I thought that was kind of fun. Bell bottom pants. And then striped trousers and a waistcoat were kind of a thing too during that era too. And then in 1940 to 1980, the shapes of the cuts both came in and out of fashion. So it was kind of whatever you kind of chose. So like if you want, it was just kind of an in-between where people kind of started doing whatever they wanted to. And some things trended a little bit more than others. But today you see a traditional tux, and it's kind of stemmed from that morning coat. It just changed like with the length of how long, if you want like a long tail or a more cut, tapered or shorter jacket. So that's changed there. And then in today's day and age, the possibilities are endless. You can see, just depending on where you get married, if you get married in the countryside, you could see like a tweed blazer and jeans, or just a vest, just kind of depending on what you want for the look of your wedding, for who you are as a person and what you want as a couple. So you'll see that. There we go. And then next we're going to have Lorine come out in our second dress, and she's going to talk about the market and purchasing process with us a little bit today. She just got back from market last weekend, so she has a lot to tell us. This is kind of one of the newer trending dresses for what's happening today. So you see that it has lots of bling, three-dimensional lace, clear sequin, the illusion back. So back here, she has some illusion going on here, and then she has a shorter veil. This is a fingertip length veil. So it just kind of touches the tips of your finger versus the cathedral. And then at the bottom, it just kind of has this raw finish and some pretty leaves. And then you can look at this dress and see that it's not pure white. Something that you rarely see anymore is actually a pure white dress. It's very uncommon. Like ivory, when I thought ivory, I thought beige, but this like white overlay, like the detail on it is the ivory, and then it kind of has like a light gold. Would you say light gold or champagne underneath this one? So it kind of changes just to kind of make the lace pop or just give different looks to the dresses. And then Lorine, what did you see this year at market when you went to pick out the dresses for what we will have on display in the showroom.
So we watched several.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. We're going to mic her up real quick. So, okay.
We watched several fashion shows, and it's a quick 2 days, but it's a lot of the simple, like I saw, or that I walked out in before, and then a lot more of the very busy, detailed laces, kind of 3D flowers. They're adding color into dresses now, so we've seen a lot of like baby blues and maybe kind of a slate gray. I personally don't mind a little pink in the flowers. I think those are kind of beautiful whenever they are like pink lace or something. But it's definitely a very like a dichotomy of that simple, sleek, modern, almost traditional looking, you know, that perfect meld, and then the very over the top glam with flowers and lace and poof and colors and fun.
Yeah. So like I said, when Meghan Markle got married, the dresses after that, they kind of transitioned to the very simple, what you saw her in the first gown. And that is still kind of around right now. But this bling and the three-dimensional lace is kind of coming back. Probably, I'd say 10 years ago, that was a big thing too. But it's retrending. So things just kind of retrend over the years. And this is something a lot different than what I even saw when I started working there. I started working there in 2014, 2015. So this has kind of changed a lot on what they saw because there's just more clear sequin and more beading from then too. So they're kind of a little bit more elaborate. Can anyone guess how much this dress is? On that 2,000. So yeah. So this is 2,000, and this is one of our private label. Or this isn't really private. Okay, this is a private label. So this is a Reverie. It's one of the gowns that would you say they're more affordable for what they are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that private label we kind of, when we go to market, we try to find good price ranges for the area that we're in so that they're not astronomical. I went to some stores in the city and they can be up to 10 grand, which is kind of a shocking number when you think buying a dress in the scheme of things, but they are beautiful and they are your forever dress. So make sure you feel special in what you wear, but I'll have her do a little spin real quick for me and so you can see the back. There we go. Back. Is it pretty? And it has that illusion neckline with the pearl to it too. Yeah. Thank you, Lauren. Okay, that was runway dress number 2. That one's probably I'm a simple person, so I love the first one, but that one's probably my favorite out of the 3 that we're going to show today because it was just something different there. I want to hear your favorites at the end if you have a style because I think it just kind of shows personality, so that's fun. Okay, and then next we're going to go into bouquet toss. So like we kind of talked about this at one of our first events was the bouquet toss and how traditionally like how people do the bouquet toss, but how it came about, we haven't really talked a ton about that. So the tossing of the bouquet actually originated in ancient England. After the wedding ceremony, the guests would actually try to rip pieces of the bride's dress and her bouquet because they found it to be a good sign of fortune and I feel like, good sign of fortune. So it was supposed to be good luck to take parts of that. But then the bride started getting tired of people harassing her. And so she decided to make sure that everyone lined up on the back side of her on one side so that she had an escape route on the other. So she could turn and run. So she made sure everyone was behind her. So that's how the toss came about, which I think was kind of funny. So there's that. And then I think over the years that kind of just became how they did that. And then the garter toss, this one actually I had no clue anything about this. Like, so they would take the couple after the ceremony and they would take the bride's stockings off of her because they felt that was also another good fortune, was to take the stockings and see who could hit the bride or the groom in the head with their stockings. So like the toss, and then the groom kind of got kind of tired of the harassment too and started tossing it outside and locking themselves in a room so that they just could take the fight over it themselves, so they could take the garter themselves there. So that was kind of fun. So just tossing the garter and letting them have at it. So that's where that came about. The garter, so the bouquet and the garter, there's a lot there as far as what people do for bouquets. A lot of people will do real florals, or some people will do the fake and the faux there. But real florals, depending on the season that the flowers are in, can be kind of costly if they're not in season for the floral and how big you want your bouquet. The average cost of a bouquet is probably around $100, just depending how big or small, $100 to $250 for a bouquet. Sometimes even a little bit more if you're wanting a flower that's out of season, and a large bouquet with different style to it. So, and then garters, a lot of people will, so my garter was actually made out of my husband's grandma's dress, which was kind of a special heirloom. So some people do something special there, or they like tie a photo, like a small locket picture, or they add that into their bouquet or their garter, just to kind of have a little sentimental piece into what they're wearing for their attire. And then some people just order on Etsy or have someone else make, Etsy is a kind of a shopping site, Amazon, Hobby Lobby, that people get them out all over the place. But there, and then last we're going to talk about the bridal veil. So the veils are, you can see anything from cathedral, which was the first one Lorine had for floor length, and that was typical in the earlier days, mostly because they wanted to cover, for different religions, they wanted to cover like their shoulders, like in a Catholic world, they would like to wear veils to cover their shoulders. And then in Buddhism and Judaism, it was Judaism, they actually like would wear a veil over their face because they thought that it hid evil spirits, and did a little ceremony with the bride and groom, the two of them, to see that, I thought this was interesting, to see that they were marrying the right person. So like they did like to make sure they were marrying the right person, and that there was like they wouldn't be with someone else. And that actually stemmed from a Bible verse with Jacob, I believe. So that was something I read in there. That he had married the wrong and wanted to make sure he married the right, so they had done something there. So that is there. Lauren, I'm gonna have you come on out with dress number 3 for me. And this is kind of a traditional A-line dress, but this definitely has some flair for what today's dresses are. So this has all the sparkle in it with some beautiful lace, and you can see, and she's carrying a beautiful bouquet. This is something that people use as an accessory, but also for many other reasons. And also back then, I read that they used the bouquet because they didn't have great hygiene. So sometimes the smell in the bouquet, the flowers made them smell better. So I've read that too. Lauren smells great today, I promise. So I sniffed her. So. But yeah, so she has on this beautiful scalloped edge fingertip veil that goes with it, and then you can kind of take a peep that she just has that sweetheart neckline and some buttons down the middle of the back and the 3D lace. So this is part of this dress. Go. Beautiful. Yeah, you're welcome. So she's gonna exit. Just take a gander and see what you think. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, and then that was our third dress, and it was a Maury Lee. So this is a Maury Lee, and the name is Forsythia, is how you say it. So they have names for some of the dresses, which was kind of fun to see different names for each dress. So Forsythia was the name of that one, and that one, Maury Lee has a great price range for their dresses for designers, and that one was $2,200, and I think that's great for like the fullness of that dress. So yeah, right in there. Okay. So we've talked about all those things. Last is jewelry. Jewelry, so people would accessorize with jewelry. They would wear their jewels, whatever they had. But early 1900s, most people had just bands, like a gold band, no diamond, no jewel. So they would just have a very simplistic thing. And if they had a jewel, sometimes they would have rubies or emeralds, sapphires. Diamonds weren't as common, and they started becoming more common after World War I. So after that ended, they kind of had more access, and the Great Depression was over, and they had a little bit more in the economy to work with as far as prices to buy. But okay, in closing, thank you everyone so much for coming out today. If you haven't checked out the exhibit, make sure to pop over there to kind of see what's in the exhibit. It's last day, so it's gonna be sad, it's gonna be gone. So make sure to check it out there. But everything has become more elaborate, and there are a lot more moving parts than people can count. And so that's why I'm here to help simplify all of your needs with your planning process, as far as like where to go and the preferred vendors, where to find a venue, and just anything that you need help with in your planning process. But to wrap things up, we have a charcuterie and champagne over there. And I just want to say one last thank you to Phyllis and the Miners Museum before we head out. And quarter 2 exhibit with David comes next week. Was it next week? That'll be out? The first. So we'll have that come up soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was absolutely stunning. Those dresses were beautiful. Makes us all want to become a bride again. Somebody can go out and buy one of those dresses. They're just wonderful. Just a couple of announcements so you're all up to date on what's going on. You all have probably heard about our night in New Orleans, which is coming up April the 13th. The tickets are almost sold out, but there are still a few left. We can seat up to 200. This is our second year for this fundraiser, and it was amazing. Everyone loved it and couldn't wait to come back again this year. So if you haven't purchased your tickets, or if you have and you have some other friends you would like to be seated with you, call Susan at the office tomorrow and get those tickets purchased. It's $30 for the ticket. That gets you a shrimp boil, the whole dinner, dessert, drinks, and we'll have the Zydeco band, the Ernest James Zydeco band from Kansas City, and they are amazing. It's probably the most fun you'll have in Southeast Kansas for a while. I mean, and I know there are a lot of, no, I'm not kidding. I mean, I know there are a lot of great events, but I mean, they are an interactive band, and the food was amazing, and it's a fun event. You don't want to miss it. Let's see. I've told you about our next exhibit, and thank you to David for coming again today and videotaping all this and putting it on YouTube. So I always share that on our Facebook page. So if any of you know someone who has an event coming up, or they just want to see this program, they can follow David on YouTube and get that. A short update on, some of you know we've been fundraising for a 7-foot screen. The screen has been donated to us by Broadway Electronics, and we're still raising funds for the projector, which will be a far sight better than that, what we called a big screen TV back in the day, but this is going to be a 7-foot screen. Catherine Richard has written a grant for that, and we're hoping to hear within the next week or two, and we're hoping that will give us enough funds to get the rest of to be able to purchase that. So future events will have that big screen where everyone will have a better view of that. For those of you who are members, May 1 is our annual membership dinner. So if you haven't already turned in your RSVP, we'll be sending out cards to notify everyone again about that. But that's another great event, and we have an entertainer that's coming in. It's going to be a fun night. She's traveling along the Jefferson Highway, and she performs nationally. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be another fun event, and that is included free with your membership. So if you're not a member, for $25 you can be an individual member, $50 family member, and you get this free dinner and entertainment, and it is fun. It's May 1st. This year it'll be held at the Palooka's Event Center. We're kind of traveling from Cole Camp to Cole Camp. Last year was in Arma. This year it'll be in Frontenac. So, and eventually when we add on to our building, we'll be able to hold them right here. So that's our goal. And we'd like to thank Lorine, if she is within shouting distance. I mean, she did a beautiful job, and she's a beautiful girl, and she really did justice to those dresses. She was just, she was beautiful. And as Jenna said, we welcome you to stay. We have refreshments. She has brought champagne. There's also tea and other beverages back there if you prefer that, and all kinds of snacks. We appreciate all of you coming. And, watch for announcements of our next programs that will go along with David's West Mineral exhibit. So thank you all for coming today. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks,
I'll be going up April 1st. We'll be open with the exhibit, and our first presentation will be April the 21st.
April 21st.
And that'll be just me.
Okay. Hey, we're ready for it. Who's going to record you?
I'm going to record.
Oh, you're recording. Wanted to make sure. I was like, who's going to? Love that. Love. Andy Dandy tripod.
Refreshments are ready.
Yeah, feel free to head on back.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.